Welcome to Clutch Kickers. This is the second to last round, bringing the E36 out. Made a very minor suspension change that we might end up reverting, but today looks like it's going to be a wet, rainy practice, and tomorrow looks like it's going to be a wet, rainy competition. Me and Colette both don't have windows, so we're gonna be moist in there, okay? Spicy morning. Hopped in Colette's car. It was doing some funny stuff, so I actually did 2 laps with it. Try to get it dialed in and adjust tire pressures and alignment stuff just so she can feel comfortable today. She's about to go up for practice. She's luckily in the first practice, I'm in the second. So I'm trying to help her and figure out as much as I can so she can get a good ass qualifying score and hopefully win some battles today. So it seems like I finally figured out what's going on with the E36. Unfortunately, I've wasted all practice. I just didn't feel comfortable driving it because I thought the car was leaning out. It actually now appears as if the TPS is cutting out. However, we can't replicate it. I tried to pull up a log, monitor TPS voltage, tried to actuate it, but it's not doing it in the pits, which leads me to believe when the car is going side to side, something, some short, some wire is shorting out and we're losing the voltage reference. There's like a 5-volt reference to the TPS. And it's dipping down and it's making the car think that I'm not flooring it and it's acting strange. There's a way, man, I wish I knew more about tuning. There's a way that I can trick it into not caring what the TPS voltage is, but it's very ghetto and rudimentary. My rear ratio is also wrong in the car too, as we just found out. So practice isn't going that great, but I'm confident we'll get it figured out for tomorrow. Just right now, not so bueno. So you can see right here, this oscillation is what you just heard in the video of me coming off track. My TPS voltage, even though I know that I'm physically floored, dropping, coming back up, dropping, coming back up. I don't know if it's an issue in the wiring harness or if it's a bad TPS, but the fact that we can't replicate it with a car not running leads me to think that it's some sort of short or wiring issue going on.
So I'm gonna zip tie it up.
What is it?
It's the whole chunk of harness over here.
Oh boy.
So I could sit. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Get a zip tie as much as you can.
I'm gonna zip tie it so it doesn't move.
No, it was doing it way worse before. See that? Green line is air-fuel ratio. We fixed the TPS. You can see it's reading perfectly 100 now, but my AFRs are f***ing all over the place. But it's not actually, well, I guess, I don't know if it's a bad O2 sensor or if that's a product of something else failing. So what we did, we topped the fuel tank off, which I don't like doing because it sometimes will like kind of leak a little bit at the top, and that's when I caught fire last. But maybe there's a broken baffle in the fuel tank or something. We did that and we changed the fuel pressure regulator. All the wiring's due to the fuel pump. It seems like it's a fuel voltage issue at this, or sorry, a fuel pressure issue at this point. So hopefully it'll make it through a qualifying run. I'm pumped. The car worked. Whatever, something we did worked. Man, thank God I went out and I didn't do a run. Literally raindrops are starting Atlanta all over again from my Pro 2 year. Always happens, but I got my run and I'm stoked. I think it's gonna be definitely a high qualifier. I don't know if it's a #1 qualifier, but I feel like it's definitely in the top 4 at least for these runs that have gone so far. I'm watching right now. High likelihood it's gonna rain on my next run, but I really hope it doesn't. I'm in second place, well technically in third. The 2 people were tied for, but Taylor Hull has a 91-point qualifying run, 1 point above me. All I gotta do is throw a little bit more smoke, a little bit more angle, a little more sauce. That's what I'm trying to do, but I don't want rain that up for me, so I'm excited. Sitting good, hopefully the car holds together and go let her rip. So I'm a little bit bummed. I thought that, you know, based on some of the other scores, that my score would have been higher, but regardless, coming from 0 practice laps and just non-stop car issues, I'm super pumped. Johan killed it. Got the car together between the two of us and going back and forth and figuring out all the weird little quirks that were going on. It's certainly not perfect. It's wet. It's real wet. Watch this. Ready? Ready? Jesus. Alright, so it's competition day. Looks like we're gonna have some good battles. I got a bye run. Just gotta make sure we can leave the line. Then I think my my first battle is gonna be up against Colette. We better make that happen. Freaking Dan in the background. We're still having the same issue with the car. Our current consensus, apart from the 5-volt sensor power acting up and making everything go haywire, is possibly the fuel tank, which is kind of separated into 2 separate compartments. Maybe the crossover tube is clogged, so we're filling it up and thinking that it's full, but it's really only half full, and then it's like emptying to the other side when it sloshes and not coming back. Because the issue didn't happen during qualifying 1. I don't know if you guys saw it during qualifying 2. Car went super lean again, practically shut off. Not good for the engine. Hopefully it's a simple solution. We're gonna pull off both caps on the gas tank to be able to see the levels, and then like if we have to when we're filling the car, we'll literally jack the whole car up on its side to transfer it to the other side of the tank, and then at least that's like a workaround if we can't get access to the crossover tubes.
So as Adam just explained, we're gonna look into the other side of the tank where when I pop the hat off and I see the connection, there should be a pump that transfers fuel from this side of the tank to that side of the tank. The connection did come off quite easily. So the pump might not be transferring fuel to the other side, and then we're having fuel starvation in certain sections of the track, which will make sense why that's happening. So I'm pulling this off now to have access to the pump or this side of the tank, and then I'm gonna rip it out, send power to it, and see if it's working. If it's working, then I'll just jam those 2 wires in there and put some sealing or something in it to keep them from popping out.
Yo! Driver, up! Let's go!
No!
Come on! Yo!
Don't want to argue on this side.
She's gotta grab that Celsius.
Celsius?
Celsius.
Correct.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so I know what happened. So I think, other than now having a new issue with this part broken, so when we switch to the display for the ECU master, yeah, the fuel sending unit, the level sensor or whatever. So I guess this sensor measures out the fuel on this side of the tank. That's what I guess makes the suction works on the other side. I don't know how the system actually works. I haven't looked it up or tried to figure that out. But yeah, there's no pump on this side, which leads me to believe that as this thing moves up and down, then that makes something work so that the pump suctions fuel from this side of the tank. It's pretty dry on this side. Not dry, there's a speck of fuel down there. So I think our hypothesis is correct. What I'll do now is pick up the car on that side, make it angle this way. We'll see if fuel starts moving this way, because the fuel port is on the pump side, not on this side. So we should start seeing fuel rolling over this way when we lift the car on that side.
If it doesn't cross over, it should cross over, but then while we're filling it, leave that on. Alright, it's coming now. I'm curious to see how much fuel it takes now.
Yeah.
What a weird issue.
We filled it up with the car jacked up, and it started racing on this side, so that's good. Some fuel is getting over to this side of the tank. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna get a bar fitting and connect the return line that goes here to this line, which is the line that transfers the fuel over from this tank to the other side, and then at the top hat, loop that side together because it's not doing anything. loop that together and put it back in, and that will get us through the weekend. Technically speaking, that will work for the rest of the time that we have this system. Eventually we want to fix it up, but for now that's what will work, and that's the best solution for the problem. Just in case we don't get a chance to fill up, then we know that the return is returning to that side instead of this side.
We still don't know why. The E36 just eats pilot bearings. It had kind of been acting up, but I've pretty much driven every single clutch kickers with it acting up. However, it was getting so bad that even with the clutch fully depressed, it was still like grabbing a little bit and lurching forward to the point where I'm pretty confident if I went to go do a handbrake, the car would have stalled. So I did a lead and a chase, decided to call practice to give Johan more time to pull the trans and give the car more time to cool off. I just didn't want to risk doing more damage and then have a potentially more catastrophic failure than being able to change it now. Really, we just need to get a different type of custom one made. We use red Loctite, that it's in as far as it can go, but they just keep, for whatever reason, wiggling themselves out. So looks like Johan's got it under control, so I think we'll be good. Got plenty of time, and competition's about to start. It broke. Wow, hot. So we were just gonna end up running with no pilot bearing since mine shattered. We couldn't find one, but Troy Manor had one that's not exactly what we run, but it looks like it's gonna work. The problem with running none would be aligning the clutch. So Johan's under there, he's tapping it in, and hopefully all I gotta do is literally leave the line to make my buy run. Colette still has her crisis going on with her clutch line. I don't know if I talked about that or if it'll be in this video or not. Mike deleted it if she doesn't want to be in the video. Her clutch line melted and her car caught fire. The guys at Clutch Kickers are so good at like fire control that they literally had it out before you could even barely see flames. So shout out to the crew here. They're amazing when it comes to fires. They're super on point. Probably out of any competition I've ever been on, they are the fastest to respond. And that's rad. Gives you a lot more confidence as a driver. But anyway, a friend of ours has a GTO with the same clutch line, is letting us steal it, but everyone's everywhere and it's just chaotic.
All right, so I put the training out. We found the same thing we have found every time we go out with this car. But this time the pilot bearing shattered into pieces and it screwed up the flex plate, as you can see there. So when I got the new pilot bearing and I tried to center the clutches and tie everything down, I couldn't move this disc because it's jammed in there by this. Like as you saw, that one clutch disc was just dancing around because of the pilot bearing not being in place and it's screwing the pressure plate up. So now I just gotta clean those areas so that I could release this pressure plate and then put everything back up. And hopefully the new pilot bearing able to go into the trans, or the trans is able to go to the pilot bearing, which it looks like it. So that shouldn't obviously be that hard to remove. This slides on the transmission in and out as the clutch engages. So now that I have it free, I'll clean it up so that this slides in and out. Because that was the problem that Adam was having once he was trying to take off at the line. It wanted to stall.
I literally got a transmission in a car faster than they can make a hot dog. Dead ass. The transmission was right there. I go, Yohan, do you want anything? I walk over to get a hot dog. I'm back. Gassing it up. Thank you, Yohan.
Animal.
You're welcome.
Absolute animal.
It took him longer to make a hot dog than it did for y'all to put the transmission back in. That shit's easy.
And I had a talk with Sean.
What?
So that even took longer.
You guys are arguing about the whole kooky cokey thing again?
broke
No,
thought that it was my fault.
you don't have a position
But
sensor
you're
right
the one
now.
that broke it, so.
A what?
This one can
sensor?
be? The position sensor.
Well, you need to wipe down on it.
Oh, I need a shower.
You're not gonna be able to shower tonight?
Yeah. Alright guys, so we're about to go into our first top 32 battle against the guy that Colette was supposed to beat so we could battle together. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get the clutch line swapped in the amount of time that we had. So, don't have a lot of practice this round, but I've got quite a bit of practice at this track. Feeling pretty good about the car. Just gonna go out, chill, do my thing, and have some fun. Alright, burnout time. Warm the fronts up. Car feels hooked up. Just gotta do my thing. Track probably cooled off a little bit, so gotta be mindful of that. Fucked up. Up a little bit. My entry, just dumb. The car just felt weird and I just second guessed myself, which I shouldn't have done. God, I drove too hard. That sucks. I don't know if I'll get docked for that or if he will or what. My whole front end's on that car. Tried to do my best and I just drove a little too hard. Whoop. what a bummer. I think it's going to take me out of the running for points here too.
Shows the radiator.
Emerson went to go get y'all JB Well. So, the bad news is I didn't do as well as I wanted. The good news is that means we get to leave early because we actually have to drive back today in order to have enough time tomorrow to get the S15 ready for St. Louis. What happened? Well, I drove a little bit too hard and I tend to get lost from that touch and go to the outer zone. It's like usually where the biggest gap develops. And I think a combination of me driving a little bit aggressively there and his car being a little bit slow out of the hole, I just kind of clutch kick transitioned to fall into that pocket, but I didn't time it right, so I just plowed in his back bumper. I think it was one of those things that was almost a debatable call. I think if he was a tad bit slower, they probably would have gone one more time with it. And we probably could have like JB welded the radiator up or something. But regardless, it sucks, but we sorted out a lot of the issues with the car that we've been having here at least and figured some stuff out. So it was good testing and a chill weekend. The margaritas were great.
Yeah.
Thanks guys, bye.
It's the whole chunk of harness over here.
Oh boy.
So I could sit. How you doing, man?
How are you?
Good, good.